Commander Kayla stared out of the starship's viewport as the alien planet grew larger in view. Red dust storms swirled over jagged mountains, and rivers of strange green liquid cut through the barren lands. The planet, known as Zithera, was rumored to hold an energy source unlike anything humans had seen before. Its potential could change the future of humanity, but it was guarded by one of the galaxy's most feared warriors, an alien named Varn. "Prepare for landing," Kayla ordered, her voice calm but firm. She was tall, strong, and known for her sharp mind. Her crew respected her because she never underestimated danger, but she also trusted in human ingenuity. "Remember, we are explorers first. If we can avoid unnecessary fighting, do it. But we must be ready for anything." The landing pod shook violently as it entered Zithera's thin atmosphere. Dust and debris battered the small craft, but Kayla's hands stayed steady on the controls. With a final jolt, the pod landed in a valley surrounded by towering rock formations. The crew exhaled, their relief visible through the fogged glass. Kayla stepped out onto the red soil. The air was thin and smelled faintly of iron. Strange plants, with translucent leaves, swayed despite the lack of wind. This world was beautiful but deadly. Every sound could hide danger. "Scanners show life signs ahead," reported Lieutenant Joran, her second in command. "Large, humanoid signature. Movement is fast, intelligent. Probably the local guardian Varn." Kayla nodded. "Good. That's who we need. We cannot take the energy source without confronting him, but remember, we are humans. We adapt. We survive. That's our strength." They moved carefully through the valley. Rocks crunched under their boots. The alien life forms watched silently from a distance. The closer they got to the energy source, the more the planet seemed alive. Strange vibrations pulsed under their feet, as if Zithera itself was aware of their presence. Then, without warning, a shadow moved across the valley floor. Varn appeared. He was massive, taller than any human, with dark, metallic skin that reflected the dim sunlight. His eyes glowed faintly yellow, showing intelligence and strength beyond what humans usually encountered. Kayla felt a chill. He was not just a warrior, he was a living legend. "Who dares enter my world?" Varn's voice was deep, echoing, in the valley. The humans flinched at the sound, but Kayla stepped forward. She squared her shoulders and met his gaze. "I am Commander Kayla," she said firmly. "We come in peace, but we seek the energy source you guard. If you wish to challenge us, we accept. If not, we will leave. The choice is yours." Varn tilted his head, studying her. Humans. So small, yet full of fire. Many have tried to claim Zithera's power. All have failed. Why should I spare you? Kayla smiled faintly. "Because humans think differently. We don't rely on strength alone. We use our minds, and we never give up." The alien warrior's lips curled into something that looked like amusement. "Very well. A trial then. Survive the challenges and you may claim the prize. Fail and you will leave Zithera broken." Kayla's heart pounded. This was the moment she had trained for. She nodded. "We accept." Varn stepped aside, revealing a narrow path leading into a canyon. The air shimmered strangely, and strange symbols glowed faintly on the rocks. Kayla sensed the canyon itself would be part of the trial. The humans advanced, careful not to trigger any traps. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. Panels of stone moved like puzzle pieces, forming walls and obstacles. Kayla realized that Zithera was testing not just strength but intelligence and teamwork. "Split into teams," she ordered. "Analyze the pattern of the stones. If we can understand it, we can move safely." Lieutenant Joran and a small team moved to the left, while Kayla took another path with the rest. They climbed, jumped, and ducked, using both physical skill and mental focus. Zithera's challenges seemed to anticipate their moves, but Kayla reminded herself of a key truth: humans survive by learning. Hours passed and the trial grew harder. Varn appeared occasionally, testing them with obstacles that required quick thinking. At one point, Kayla had to guide a levitating crystal through a narrow passage, timing it perfectly with shifting stone walls. She almost slipped, but her reflexes and intuition kept her safe. Finally, the team reached a wide chamber. At its center floated a sphere of glowing energy, the prize they had come for. But before they could approach it, Varn appeared again. He did not attack, instead he observed. "You are clever," he said, "but you underestimate Zithara. One wrong step, and it will destroy you." Kayla stepped forward, meeting his gaze. "And one right step can save us. We are human. We adapt, we survive, we win." Varn's eyes glowed brighter. Then the next challenge begins. The chamber walls shifted, revealing new paths and dangers. Kayla felt a mix of fear and excitement. The trial had only just begun. She realized that her attempt to break Varn, to dominate through strategy and skill, was harder than she imagined. He was a warrior unlike any she had faced. Yet she also felt a spark of confidence. Humans were small, but their spirit was unmatched. As she prepared for the next challenge, Kayla thought of her crew. She could not fail, not for herself, but for them and for humanity. She tightened her grip on her tools and weapons. The trial was dangerous, but every challenge was an opportunity to show what humans were truly capable of, and Kayla knew one thing for certain. Zithara would not break her easily. The chamber walls shifted again, revealing new obstacles. Jagged stone spikes rose from the floor, and glowing beams of energy crisscrossed the air like a web. Kayla's heart raced, but her mind stayed sharp. This was Zithara's first true test, a trial of reflexes, courage, and clever thinking. "Stay alert," Kayla told her team. "One wrong move and it could end badly." The team moved cautiously. Lieutenant Joran led a group across a narrow ledge above a pit that glowed with strange molten liquid. Kayla followed, analyzing the shifting patterns of the energy beams. Her sharp eyes caught the rhythm of the lights. They pulsed in a predictable sequence, fast but measurable. "Step on my count," she whispered. "Now, move." The humans sprinted in perfect coordination, sliding under beams and leaping over spikes. Even small mistakes could have been fatal, but their teamwork carried them through. Kayla's confidence grew. Human adaptability was their greatest weapon. Then from the shadows, Varn appeared. His massive form moved with incredible speed. He didn't attack immediately. Instead, he observed their strategy, gauging their skill. Kayla's chest tightened. This was more than a fight. It was a test of intelligence and courage. "Impressive," Varn's deep voice echoed. "But strength alone is not enough. How will you respond when your mind fails?" Kayla frowned. She understood immediately. The next challenge was psychological. Varn would force them to act under pressure, with no obvious solution. The floor beneath them shifted again, splitting into floating platforms. One misstep and a person could fall into the glowing abyss below. Kayla instructed the team to spread out, each moving cautiously to test stability. She noticed subtle vibrations under each platform. Some were stronger, some weak. Timing and observation would be key. "Watch the patterns," Kayla said. "Don't rush. Humans survive because we learn and adapt. Watch closely." Step by step, they advanced. Sparks flew from weak platforms, but no one fell. Kayla's mind raced. She was learning Zithara's logic. Yet, the farther they went, the more unpredictable it became. Suddenly, the platforms tilted violently. Kayla lost her balance and almost slipped. She grabbed a fellow crew member just in time. The humans were exhausted, but Kayla refused to panic. She knew fear could be their worst enemy. "Focus," she shouted. "We can do this. Just one step at a time." Varn's laughter echoed across the chamber. It was not cruel. It was challenging, almost like a teacher testing a student's limits. Kayla clenched her jaw. She had underestimated the alien's intelligence and strength. This was not a battle she could win by force. She would need her mind and her team. As they reached the next platform, Kayla noticed something unusual. A series of glowing glyphs on the stone wall. They pulsed in sequence, almost like a code. She studied them quickly. realizing they were instructions for moving safely through the final section of the chamber. "Everyone, follow my lead," Kayla instructed. "These symbols are the key. Step only where I point." The team moved carefully, following her directions. One by one, they crossed the treacherous gap. Sweat poured down Kayla's face, her muscles aching, her lungs burning. But they reached the other side without a single casualty. For a moment, she allowed herself to hope. They might survive this trial. Then Varn stepped forward. His eyes glowed brighter than ever, and Kayla felt a wave of pressure, as if the chamber itself was judging her. "You are clever," he said, "but cleverness alone cannot defeat Zithra." Before Kayla could respond, the walls around them shifted violently, closing in. The floor cracked and glowing lava-like fissures appeared. The humans had no clear escape. Panic threatened to rise, but Kayla forced herself to think. She scanned the chamber quickly and noticed a narrow passage hidden behind a falling wall of stone. "There!" she shouted. "Move now!" The humans sprinted, dodging falling debris. Kayla led the way, jumping over fissures and ducking under jagged rocks. For a moment, it seemed like they would succeed, but one of the crew members, unable to keep up, stumbled. Kayla reached out, but a falling rock struck her shoulder, sending her crashing to the ground. Pinch! The night on Zithra was colder than Kayla expected. Red dust swirled across the valley as her team set up a temporary camp. Despite the exhaustion from the first trial, Kayla's mind was alive with thoughts. Every movement of Varn, every shift of the chamber walls, every challenge they faced, it all carried meaning. "We survived," Lieutenant Joran said, checking their equipment. "Barely. But we did." Kayla nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the glowing energy source waited. "Barely isn't enough. Varn isn't just strong, he's smart. If we want to reach the energy source, we need to understand him, not as an enemy, but as a puzzle." The crew settled into rest, but Kayla remained awake, studying holographic scans of the first trial. The chamber, the platforms, the energy beams, it was all designed to test more than strength. It tested logic, adaptation, and human resilience. Humans always overestimate their strength, Kayla muttered to herself. But our minds, that's where we shine. The next morning, Kayla decided they needed a new approach. Instead of rushing forward, she led a reconnaissance mission around the chamber where they had faced the first trial. Varn was not in sight, but Kayla observed subtle clues, markings on the rocks, slight depressions in the ground, patterns in the glowing glyphs. "These aren't random," she told her team. "Varn expects us to notice patterns. We can't just react. We have to anticipate." Lieutenant Joran nodded. "You mean learn the logic of the trials before stepping into them?" "Exactly," Kayla replied. "Humans survive by studying, by understanding. We adapt. Zithra can challenge strength, but it can't match creativity." Hours of careful study revealed more than Kayla expected. The glyphs, when observed closely, seemed to form sequences, directions, warnings, even possible shortcuts. The stone platforms had subtle marks indicating which ones were stable and which were traps. Every challenge had a hidden hint, waiting for someone patient enough to notice. "Varn designs challenges to test every part of us, mind, body, spirit," Kayla said. "We can't beat him by rushing. We must outthink him." With a plan forming, Kayla led the team back to the main chamber. This time they approached differently. Instead of moving quickly, Kayla had them pause, observe, and calculate each step. The floating platforms no longer seemed chaotic. They were part of a puzzle. As they moved cautiously, Varn appeared again. His massive form blocked their path, and Kayla felt the familiar weight of his presence. But she no longer felt fear. Instead, she felt focus. "You return," Varn said, his yellow eyes glowing. "Have you learned nothing?" "We have learned much," Kayla replied calmly. "Strength is important, but understanding is more powerful. Humans survive not because we are the strongest. We survive because we adapt, we observe, and we solve problems." Varn's lips curled, almost like a smile. "We shall see." The trial resumed. Floating platforms shifted, Energy beams pulsed, and walls moved unpredictably. But this time, Kayla guided her team with precision. Every step was calculated, every risk assessed. Human ingenuity began to shine. At one point, a platform began to tilt dangerously. A crew member hesitated. Kayla quickly shouted instructions using hand signals and voice commands. The human leaped to a stable platform just in time. Kayla's heart raced, but relief followed. They had learned to trust each other, and trust was a weapon Varn could not predict. "You are clever," Varn said, appearing beside the chamber wall. "But cleverness alone does not guarantee survival." Kayla smiled faintly. "We don't rely on cleverness alone. We rely on observation, teamwork, and creativity. That is what makes us human. That is why we survive challenges that others cannot." Varn watched silently as they navigated the chamber. The alien warrior seemed to be studying Kayla as closely as she studied the environment. His presence was a reminder that survival was not just about the trials. It was about understanding the mind of the one who designed them. Finally, they reached a chamber where a new type of challenge awaited. Strange alien creatures moved in, patterns across the floor, seemingly harmless but capable of triggering traps. Kayla studied their movement, noting how their paths intersected with the pressure plates in the floor. "Watch their shadows," she instructed. "We can move where they do not step. Timing is everything." The humans followed her guidance, moving carefully, leaping over gaps and avoiding the creatures. Every success built confidence. Every minor mistake taught them more about Zithara's logic. Kayla felt pride in her team, not for physical skill but for sharp thinking, patience, and teamwork. At last, they reached the chamber's exit. Varn stood there, arms crossed. Kayla expected anger but instead saw respect, or at least acknowledgement. "You learn quickly," he said. "Perhaps humans are more than I thought. Your spirit is strong, your mind's sharper than I imagined. But the trial is not over. Zithara demands more than observation. It demands innovation." Kayla nodded, understanding his words. "Innovation is our strength. Humans survive by solving problems that others cannot. That is why we adapt, that is why we endure, and that is why we will not fail." Varn stepped aside, signaling the path forward. Kayla and her team moved carefully, hearts pounding but minds alert. The first trial had been survived through courage, the second through observation, and now the next stage would require creativity. Kayla reflected on the lessons of Zithara. Attempting to break Varn with sheer skill had failed. But by understanding him, by learning his patterns, by adapting to his trials, she realized something profound. Humans were not the strongest beings in the galaxy, but they were uniquely capable. Their creativity, teamwork, and persistence made them powerful in ways few could match. As the team approached the next chamber, Kayla felt a surge of determination. Varn had tested them, pushed them to the edge, and revealed the limits of their strength. But he had also opened a door that humans could walk through with their minds, their courage, and their ingenuity. "We've learned," she said softly, almost to herself. "And now, we rise." The glowing energy source shimmered in the distance, still far away, still guarded by Zithara's trials. But Kayla no longer saw it as impossible. She saw opportunity. Humans survive and thrive because they think, they adapt, and they never give up. The next morning, Zithara's sun rose over jagged cliffs, casting long shadows across the valley. Commander Kayla gathered her team, her face set with determination. The lessons from the first two trials had shaped their approach. Strength alone could not win. They needed ingenuity, strategy, and coordination. "We know the patterns now," Kayla said. "We know how Varn thinks. But this next trial will test more than observation. It will test creativity. Stay sharp, trust each other, and think like humans always think. Adapt and innovate." Lieutenant Jaren nodded. "We're ready, Commander. Let's show Zithara what humans can do." The team moved toward the next chamber. As they approached, the ground beneath them began to shift. Stones rearranged themselves into a complex labyrinth. The walls glowed faintly, forming symbols that pulsed with energy. Kayla's eyes scanned the patterns. This was a puzzle unlike any they had faced. "Split into pairs," Kayla ordered. "We can cover more ground that way and solve the puzzle faster." Kayla took point with Joran while the rest of the team spread out to explore smaller sections. Every step had to be calculated. One wrong move could trigger traps hidden in the glowing floor. Kayla noticed subtle marks, scratches and indentations that indicated safe paths. She realized Zythera was testing their observation skills again, but the scale of this challenge demanded more. Creative problem solving. "Look at the glyphs," Kayla whispered. "They're not just warnings. They're instructions. They're telling us which path will open the exit if we move the right stones in the correct sequence." Joran studied the symbols. "It's like a code. But it's huge. How do we figure it out before we trigger the traps?" Kayla smiled faintly. "By thinking differently. Humans solve problems by seeing connections others miss. We'll try sequences others would never imagine." They began moving stones as indicated by the glyphs, carefully adjusting the labyrinth shape. Every action caused subtle shifts, revealing new paths and hiding others. The chamber seemed alive, responding to their strategy. Varn appeared again, his massive form moving silently along the walls. Kayla felt his gaze but did not flinch. His presence was a reminder of the stakes, but also of their progress. "You are clever," Varn said, "but cleverness alone will not save you. Zythera demands invention." Kayla's mind raced. "Then we invent," she whispered. She looked at the energy beams crisscrossing the chamber. They were dangerous if touched, but they could also act as barriers if redirected. Using a reflective panel from their equipment, Kayla angled a beam to disable a section of the traps. It was risky, but it worked. The team followed her lead, adjusting their methods with each new obstacle. One platform was missing entirely, leaving a gap too wide to jump. Kayla directed her team to combine ropes and equipment to form a temporary bridge. The idea was simple, but effective. Human creativity turned a seemingly impossible gap into a safe passage. As they moved deeper into the labyrinth, a new challenge emerged. An array of energy drones hovered above, scanning for movement. If a drone detected a human, it would trigger collapsing walls. Kayla studied their flight patterns. "We need to move together but staggered," she instructed. "Step in the shadows, wait for the gaps in their sensors and adva." The valley was silent as the humans prepared for the next stage. Zythera's red dust swirled around the jagged cliffs, creating a surreal haze. Commander Kayla could feel the tension in the air. The energy source was near, but Varn's final trial awaited, and it would test everything they had learned so far. Observation, teamwork, creativity, and courage. Kayla addressed her team. "The challenges have grown more difficult with every step. Now we face the ultimate test. We cannot rely on speed or strength alone. We must use our minds and work as one. Every decision matters." Lieutenant Joran nodded, checking equipment. "We're ready, Commander. Whatever Varn throws at us, we can handle it together." Kayla led the way through a narrow canyon. The walls glowed with intricate symbols, brighter than ever, and the ground shifted under their feet. The moment they entered, the canyon began to transform. Walls moved, creating narrow passages and dead ends. Pools of glowing liquid appeared unpredictably. The environment itself was a trap. Zythera was alive, testing their ability to adapt on the fly. "Split into smaller teams," Kayla commanded. "We need to cover more ground and solve multiple challenges simultaneously." Her group advanced carefully. Kayla noticed a series of energy pillars blocking their path. Some emitted beams that could vaporize a human instantly, while others created moving platforms. Observing their pattern, Kayla realized the key. Timing, not strength, would be the solution. "Step only when I signal," she whispered. "Count the pulses and we'll cross safely." Each step required precision. One miscalculation could trigger disaster. The humans moved like clockwork, following Kayla's guidance. With patience and attention to detail, they navigated the first obstacle without casualties. Suddenly, a low hum filled the canyon. Varn appeared above them, standing on a narrow ledge. "Humans," he said, "you survive by learning. But can you endure when the trial itself fights you?" The ground trembled. Sections of the canyon wall split open, revealing floating platforms that shifted unpredictably. Energy drones hovered above, scanning for movement. Kyla realized the trial was no longer just physical or mental. It was a combination of both, with danger at every turn. "Stay calm," she said. "We've faced worse. Observe, adapt, and innovate. That's how humans survive." Kayla's team moved carefully. One of the drones swooped too close, forcing a crew member to leap to safety. Kayla spotted a reflective panel nearby and angled it to redirect the drone's sensors, allowing the team to advance. Another obstacle appeared, a wide gap with no apparent way across. The walls pulsed with energy, and even the air shimmered unnaturally. Kayla studied the environment quickly. "We can use the wind currents," she said. "With the jetpacks we can glide across, but timing is critical. One misstep and we fall." The team lined up. Kayla counted down. 3, 2, 1, go! They soared across the gap, mid-air, adjustments keeping them on course. One miscalculation could have been fatal, but every member landed safely on the other side. Kayla's heart raced, but relief followed. Human ingenuity had triumphed again. As they advanced, the canyon widened, revealing the final chamber. At its center floated the energy source, pulsating with power. But between them and the prize was Varn, his massive form blocking the path. Kayla knew this would be the ultimate challenge. Varn's last test was not just traps or puzzles, but a direct confrontation of strategy and wit. "You've learned much," Varn said, his voice echoing. "But now you must prove yourself. Can humans outthink a warrior who knows every challenge?" Kayla stepped forward. "We can," she said firmly. "Not because we are stronger or faster, but because we think, adapt, and never give up. That is what makes us human." The trial began. Varn moved swiftly, testing the humans with obstacles, illusions, and unpredictable challenges. Kayla guided, her team through each one, improvising solutions in real time. One passageway collapsed, but Kayla used her equipment to create a temporary bridge. A swarm of energy drones blocked another path, but reflective panels and careful timing allowed them to pass. Hours passed. The humans were exhausted, but Kayla refused to give in. Every member of her team relied on one another, using combined skills and intelligence to navigate Zithra's ultimate trial. Finally, only the last challenge remained. A massive chasm separated them from the energy source, wider than any gap before. The walls pulsed with unstable energy, making flight dangerous. Kayla studied the currents carefully, calculating trajectories, timing, and angles. "This is it," she said. "One last leap. Everyone follow my lead. Trust each other and trust your skills." The humans launched simultaneously. Mid-air, Kayla adjusted her trajectory, guiding the others. A sudden shift in the energy currents threatened to throw one crew member off course, but Kayla shouted instructions just in time. They landed safely on the far side, exhausted but victorious. Kayla stepped forward and placed her hand on the glowing energy source. A wave of warmth and power pulsed through her. The humans had not only survived Zithra, they had conquered it with intelligence, teamwork, and ingenuity. Varn appeared beside the energy source. His expression, once unreadable, now held respect. "You have done what many thought impossible. Humans survive not through strength alone, but through mind, spirit, and persistence. You have proven that your species is worthy." Kayla looked at him, feeling the truth in his words. "We survive because we adapt, because we learn, because we never give up. That is the power of humanity." Varn nodded. "Then take the energy source. You have earned it, and more importantly, you have shown the true strength of your people." The humans gathered around Kayla, sharing smiles and exhausted laughter. They had faced Zithra's ultimate challenge and triumphed. Each member of the team had contributed. Every skill mattered, and human ingenuity had turned danger into opportunity. Kayla looked around at her crew, and then back at Varn. She realized Something profound. Humans might not be the strongest beings in the galaxy, but their creativity, teamwork, and determination made them capable of overcoming almost any obstacle. That was the essence of HFY, humanity shining in the face of overwhelming odds. As they prepared to return to their ship with the energy source, Kayla felt pride, not just in the victory, but in the journey. The trials of Zithra had tested their strength, courage, and minds, but they had emerged stronger, wiser, and united. And Kayla knew that humanity's potential was limitless. If they could survive and thrive on Zithra, there was no challenge in the galaxy they could not face. Zithra had tried to break them, but humans had not only survived, they had proven themselves extraordinary. The humans emerged from Zithra's final chamber carrying the glowing energy source. The planet's red dust swirled around them as the team made their way back to the landing pod. Every step felt lighter now, though their bodies were still sore and tired from the trials. Their minds, however, were sharper than ever. Commander Kayla walked at the front, holding the energy source carefully. Its pulsating glow reminded her of the journey they had endured, the obstacles, the puzzles, the near misses, and the lessons learned. They had survived Zithra not through sheer strength, but through observation, ingenuity, and teamwork. "We did it," Lieutenant Joran said softly, almost in disbelief. "I didn't think we could make it past the last trial." Kayla smiled faintly. "We survived because we adapted, because we never gave up. That is the power of humanity." The humans approached their pod. Varn appeared once more, standing tall on a cliff overlooking the valley. Kayla stopped for a moment, turning to face him. "You honor your species," Varn said. "Many have come seeking Zithra's power, thinking only strength matters. You have shown that your kind's true strength lies in your minds, your teamwork, and your courage. Take the energy source, use it wisely." Kayla bowed slightly. "Thank you, Varn. We have learned much from Zithra and from you. Humans are stronger than we know, but not because of our muscles, because of our minds, our creativity, and our determination." Varn's yellow eyes seemed to shine with acknowledgement. "Go, human. Prove to the galaxy that your people are worthy." With that, Kayla and her team entered the pod. The engines roared to life, lifting them away from the alien planet. As Zithra receded below them, Kayla took a moment to reflect on what they had achieved. They had faced a planet alive with challenges, a warrior unmatched in skill and intellect, and survived the impossible. "This is more than a mission," Kayla said quietly. "This is proof that humans can rise to any challenge. Our ingenuity, our creativity, and our courage make us exceptional. We can face the stars and the unknown without fear." The journey back to their starship was filled with a quiet sense of triumph. The energy source would provide resources and knowledge that could help humanity for generations. But the real victory was the lesson Zithra had taught them. Human spirit and ingenuity were their greatest assets. Back on the starship, Kayla addressed her crew. "We brought back more than energy. We brought back proof of what humans can do. Remember this feeling. Remember what we learned. There will be other challenges, other worlds, and other obstacles. But if we face them together, we will succeed." The Rye crew nodded, inspired and proud. They had been tested to the limits of their endurance and intellect, and they had emerged victorious.